and welcome to Season 2 of Galaxy Tenants. On today's episode, we head to Denver, Colorado for a conversation with musician Rob Drabkin, and we feature his song The Way You Move. Also, we're excited to debut our new theme song by Family Funktion and the Sitar Jams titled A#1. We really appreciate your support and thank you so much for listening.
I'm joined today by Rob Drabkin. How are you today, Rob?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm as good as can be, man. I'm talking to you. The sun is shining, so
it is.
Catching some rays on this end, which is delightful. Helps contrast these dark days.
More sun is coming. More sun is coming.
I hope so, yeah. I mean, we live in Colorado, so we can say that. But people who are listening from other parts of the country, you are in for long darkness, my friends.
Yes. At some point today, you'll see a blue sky. That is my guarantee. That is a Colorado guarantee.
So you recently played Red Rocks, which is that's a really weird thing to say right now.
Incredibly weird.
Yeah, it caught me off guard when they started doing shows. They did the symphony shows and then slowly started to do some concerts. How did that come together for you? And have you played Red Rocks before?
I have. Definitely this under various different circumstances. There was something about this one that felt more official and less official about compared to previous times I played there. Nathaniel Rateliff and I played there about 10 years ago, opening up for The Big Lebowski, the Film on the Rocks series, and they always have one or two local bands open up, and Nathaniel was under the moniker The Wheel. He was just known as The Wheel, which is like a little bit more of a folky project. You know, he played a nylon string acoustic guitar and, it's like a very mellow, very, very mellow set. And and then I did an opening set for him. And then the next time was opening up for Styx and REO Speedwagon.
What?
One of the more bizarre bills I've ever been a part of. And I don't even know. There was just a fascinating experience. Both those experiences were fascinating. And this experience was also fascinating.
Can we not gloss over, I'm sorry to interrupt, can we not gloss over the Styx and REO Speedwagon show? And can you just tell me just a little bit about that experience for you?
Yeah,
I can't let that go by.
It came together like the day before the show. Apparently, they just wanted a solo acoustic opener. That was it. They were just like, we want a solo acoustic opener. Just, give somebody some exposure in town. And there was no pay on the gig. It was like super last minute. They wanted no bandmates on stage, nothing of that sort. And it was just walk on stage and just go for it.
How was it received?
Well, it was received well. I did. It was even a shorter set than the set that you just saw. It was like a 10-minute acoustic set. So it literally did 3 quick songs. And it was a very different crowd than what I was used to. But it was also one of the coolest things about this crowd, man. I've never seen a crowd. I've definitely seen enthusiastic crowds, and I've seen crowds sing along to large portions of the songs or just like the big hit songs. Every single person in that audience knew every single word to every Styx and REO Speedwagon song, and I was just blown away. Like, just looking up, it was just like a 10,000 person choir. Everyone just knew every bit, every line. That was amazing.
Wow. Did you interact with the bands at all?
Oh no, it was very. I think I ran into the drummer in the hallway, and it was one of those interactions where like it wasn't my place to just go barge into the Styx screen and be like, hey, thanks for having me open. Part of me really wanted to do that, but you could just sense that this was not the band to do that too.
So you didn't invite Styx up to back you on one of your songs?
Hey guys, it's a little last minute, but you guys want to sit in? In my imagination, it sounds great, but I think at the moment, it might have been. I think just to see the reaction, it might have been worth it, actually.
Yeah, I agree. So tell me about this most recent play, and tell me about some of the experience and the procedures that were put in place to keep folks safe. And I want to say, too, just to start by saying thank you so much for getting us access to will buy tickets for this event, because Red Rocks means the world to Carly and I as we met there. And this would have been our 10-year anniversary for meeting at Red Rocks. And we thought for sure we weren't going to see a show there this year, and you changed that for us, and it was very emotional for us, and it was a very, very beautiful night. So thank you.
You're welcome. Perfect timing also. There were so many abnormalities about this show. The first one is it was limited to 175 people, and Red Rocks holds 9,200 people. So you can imagine the amount of empty space that was at Red Rocks. Most people congregated to like the first maybe 20 rows, and everyone was pretty spread out. Masks were required, so it was strange. It was strange to look up and see everyone's face is covered. And as far as like tickets go, I mean, the first thing I asked, I was like, "Cool, can I get a comp list? get a guest list for some friends and family?" And it was just like zero. No bands got a guest list. Everyone backstage had to pay for a ticket. The most you could do was hold a ticket per somebody, and I think we got 5 tickets per band. And going backstage, they took your temperature, took all your information, did a questionnaire about COVID symptoms, and then performing was it was fun in a opportunistic way. Like, this is let's go bring some joy to people who this is their only show they'll get to see, and the only real show at Red Rocks that's going to happen this year, and just surreal on so many levels.
Your performance felt like you were playing for a packed house. I have to say, the energy that you were outputting, I mean, it felt like Red Rocks was full, man. it was very cool. And I just would constantly look over my shoulder and see no one. And it didn't feel that way, which was a really cool thing. Yeah. I didn't know what to expect going in,
Yeah. And performing, it still felt like, Red Rocks, it's such an amazing monolithic venue, and there's still there was still kind of this fearful aspect of Red Rocks. It's daunting even if it's empty, and it's, I guess, more daunting if it's empty, But it's those rocks are they're huge. they're towering, and and then you really get into your groove, and you sing to I was kind of directing my voice to the very upper top peak on each rock. I was trying to sing to that point in the distance.
Yeah, it was really amazing. Did you feel safe?
Yeah, for the most part. I would say backstage it was safe, actually very safe. Yeah. I think the hardest thing is there's a camaraderie amongst all the musicians. So as soon as I got on stage, everyone wants to freaking hug you, give you a high five, say it was the greatest set ever, or not greatest set ever, but you did a great job up there. And it's hard to resist all the hugs and the handshakes afterwards, or going out to walk around in the crowd. So I went and watched Wilderness's set and Andy Frasco's set, and people definitely come up and want to take a selfie or something, and you have to kind of keep your distance and nudge elbows, and but for the most part, everyone is extremely respectful of boundaries, and I think that's even more evident in the music scene.
Have you been playing other shows during the pandemic? Have you been playing I know a lot of people are doing drive-in stuff, or they're doing house backyard concerts, things like that. Have you been playing other shows?
It's been the official backyard tour of Colorado. That's what it's been. Which is fun, it has an intimate house concert vibe to it. The audiences have been almost more receptive in a way, because they are listening with more intention, and everyone appreciates live music on such a different level. It's not as much fun, there's no mosh pits or big dance parties, but it is you definitely sense an appreciation that maybe wasn't there 8 months ago.
I miss the mosh pits at your shows.
You're rowdy.
You've been creating a lot of new music. What was your approach to releasing music pre-COVID, and where does it stand now, and how does it differ?
It is it's I don't think anyone has the answer to really either of those questions. But I was on track to release my new album in May. We had an album release show all booked. We were going to do Ophelia's, one of my favorite venues in Denver. It's kind of a more intimate, but really, really cool. And everything started going chaotic in March, and we just decided to put a hold on it. Let's figure out, let's see what's up. Let's sense what's going on. And there's kind of like two sides to the story, because everyone is on their devices so much more. Now, whether they're listening to music more or less is, I think, another interesting question that I don't have the answer to. I think people are so fixated on the news and on current events even that people maybe listen to music less. But also they're on their devices so much that they also listen more. So I don't know the numbers there. But I also think that the longevity of a release is that's something like when you can play concerts and you can do public events, you can generate more momentum for your release. And when that is taken out of the equation, then the lifespan of your release music, I think, diminishes a little bit, if that makes any sense. So, I mean, you could put out a huge album, but then if you can't go play shows and within the next couple of months, people are going to forget about it quicker.
Makes a lot of sense. It seems like if you were touring on an album, that longevity would just continue per date as long as the dates are productive.
Yeah.
And without that, I could see that being challenging. Yeah. I'm really interested to see where the industry goes from here, because I don't foresee shows happening on any sort of viable or financially stable even scenario for a year, maybe more, 2 years. I mean, it could be 2022 before we really see things return to some sense of normalcy. And I think that that puts the music scene, which was already in a very vulnerable situation, and in a dire situation. And it's tough to watch some of these clubs close. And I want to be hopeful. I'm sorry, but I feel like I was hoping I would have something positive to say at the end of that. It didn't come out of my mouth. And I have grave concerns for this industry that we love.
Yeah, I will do my best to find silver linings to whatever we're talking about. But it is. I guess the other thing to add is that the shows I have done and the shows that have been, whether they're public or the private, but man, the price has gone up for everybody. Like the show at Red Rocks was a $75 ticket with fees. It was $90. The backyard concert series, it usually is somebody with a bunch of cash who wants to throw a get together in their backyard, and it kind of, the pool of people who are experiencing live music now is smaller.
The supply and demand is very different, to the point where I saw the show, I believe it was the night before yours, or maybe 2 nights before yours at Red Rocks, for Nathaniel Rateliff. Tickets were being scalped at $6,000 a ticket.
Insane.
Yeah.
It's the time of the 1%.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people are struggling. So when you see people struggling and then the ticket prices go up, then it just kind of makes music, which a lot of people need, it makes it a little bit more inaccessible to folks. Yeah. So I've also seen some really affordable outdoor events take place, but even that comes with its risks. So I guess we'll see where things go. Changing the subject just a little bit. I wonder about how you set goals for yourself and milestones, or if you take that approach, and how it may have differed earlier in your career to now. And what does it feel like when you achieve one of your goals or milestones? Let's say you set out to play Red Rocks. When you check that off the list, where do you go from there?
Oh my gosh, it's so difficult to rank anything these days, because it's just are you staying busy? That is kind of I think that is the milestone right now, is keeping yourself busy, keeping yourself going. It's not necessarily a ladder. I played Red Rocks now. Now, this venue and this, there's no more stepping stone, because that kind of got eliminated. I think the most important thing is just staying busy and staying, whether it's a small gig in someone's backyard or a gig just playing music around a campfire for a group of friends. All those things matter. And I think just staying busy is the goal.
I would assume the perspective on what your goals are has changed quite a bit from when you set out doing this music thing.
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, again, I think before times you could kind of use that stepping stone ladder, and now it's just stay busy. I mean, I guess it's always been that mentality. But, an event is an event right now. So
I think that's a good way of looking at it. I know there's a lot of people who aren't playing events, so it's great to see you staying busy and staying active.
Being able to do solo acoustic has been a big asset in that regard. So that was
100%. What do you do with a 10-person funk band during COVID times? You know, you're not cramming in a van. You're cutting down the capacity of a show already with your band. You know,
it's just, yeah.
On the day she left home, she wrote her dad a little note, said she'd never be alone. What did she know? Years go by, seasons end. Mama told her once again, it takes a while to take it in. There's so much to give when there's nothing to lose. I got 2 left feet and need something to do. So turn up the song that's inside of you, then we both cut loose. The way you move moves me too. Won't you keep me close to you? The way you move shines on through. Won't you make me move? Cut her hair, dyed it gray. She knows that she'll be old one day. What's the point in the wait? That's what she'd say. You learn a lot before you know how to make yourself a home out of everywhere you go. There's so much to give when there's nothing to lose. I got 2 left feet and need something to do. So turn up the song that's inside of you, then we both cut loose. The way you move moves me too. Won't you keep me close to you? The way you move shines on through. Won't you make me move?
Let's talk about some of your travels around the world. Notably, you've spent time in Africa, and I'm intrigued about that experience and what perspective that's given you and what that's done for you and your music.
Wow, that's a loaded question. Yeah, so I performed at a kind of a festival series all throughout Rwanda and also in Uganda. And the festivals were set up by a nonprofit that's based here in Denver. It was kind of an affiliation of Hickenlooper's government position a while ago. But, you know, they set up these huge festivals in East Africa, and they offer free health tests. So, and then they book some of the like biggest East African hip hop groups. Like they're kind of booking the like equivalent of the Jay-Z and Beyonce's of Rwanda and Uganda. And it's a free show. And, you know, 30,000 people come to each one, and it's unlike anything I've ever done. A crowd unlike like anywhere before, and the culture. I think the biggest things I've learned, my takeaways have been, you see how materialistic we are as a society. My experience there is that the people, especially in East Africa, they tend to be very happy. Everyone is you see everyone is smiling. There's joy found everywhere in the streets, inside, and just everywhere you go. People seem to be very happy. And I think a lot of it has to do with being a less materialistic society. And, you know, I'm definitely not an expert in the cultural arena, but that's a big takeaway. And I think, like, as far as musically, like, surviving there came down to collaborating. Because, you know, I mean, you walk on stage in front of 20,000 people, and they can't They don't know what you're saying. They don't know any of your music. And it's basically like, the crowd's like, who the hell is this person? Like, why are they on stage right now? What do they have to say? And like learning how to communicate and learning how to collaborate with other musicians was absolutely instrumental in connecting with that audience. And to connect with that audience was something I'll never forget.
I saw a video of you singing collaboratively with some singers, and the output and the product from that was just stunningly beautiful. I love what that adds to popular music.
That was an absolute dream come true. That was one of the managers in East Africa. His name is Clement, and he helps organize the East Africa end of the festivals. And he also has a recording studio and is a great songwriter and great producer. He doesn't really perform, but he writes a lot of songs for his artists and really helps develop them. And I went down there last year with a demo of the song You and Me. And it was just like, I'm going to put out in the universe that I can somehow get a East African choir to sing with me, ideally record with me. I don't know. I'm just going to put it out there. And I sent him the song and he was like, I love this. I know exactly who to call. And he called this gospel choir that he had worked with in the past, and got members of that choir to come into the studio. And it was easily, I think, my most memorable studio session ever. It was just, he wrote this really catchy line for the song in the Kenya Rwandan language, and it was like, it goes, "Ayuwewe mama, you and me," which it's a really simple line, but it had such a beautiful melody to it, and served as another hook of the song. And just to perform that with the singers was a great way to get rid of all of our barriers and all of our walls that were like, because we all go in the studio session and no one speaks the same language. The singers are incredibly talented, but also they were on the shyer side. Everyone is like really reserved, and they're kind of like listening intently to get the words right, and they were recording with such like focus and ferocity. And then I started to play the song Acoustic in the control room, and everyone just like let their barriers down, and it just became this beautiful moment of worlds and cultures just coexisting in a beautiful space.
The result was delightful. Thank you. Thank you for putting that together and sharing that with the world. Yeah. One of the things I love about your music and your vibe is popular music and solo acoustic music can often be looked at as very simplistic. And I think that in the thoughtfulness you bring to the music and the layers you add to it and the beautiful writing, there's a lot of complexities in what you do. And I wanted to acknowledge that and say that I think that's what separates you from a lot of people within your genre. And I would urge listeners to look for those complexities within the music and to listen deeper to what you're doing. I love what you do, and I'm so grateful for it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you believe in aliens, Rob Drabkin?
We've now got some evidence of life form on Venus, so
saw that.
So I'm a believer in phosphine. I'm a believer in phosphine gas.
What about crafts? Do you think we're being visited?
Yes. I'm going to keep this conversation exciting and say yes. Now, have I gone into the depths and the rabbit holes of this? No. But to keep listeners engaged, I'm going to say yes.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's a fair answer. I don't know if you saw the contractor at the Pentagon release some information saying they have off-Earth vehicles in their possession, which I thought was kind of a neat thing.
Wow. And
I wonder if we did open up to other life forms, how you could collaborate with them. But that's another story.
Yeah. It was Andrew Yang. I think Andrew Yang was the candidate who was like, if you elect me, I will disclose all UFO secrets.
I'm into that, man.
I'm sure that actually rallied a good number of people to support him in the primaries.
Imagine how it would change the collective perspective of the Earth, or how it might not at all, and people would just brush it off and keep tuning into Survivor or whatever.
Yeah,
I wonder
it's just, there's so little of what we know. I like answering yes to other life forms in the universe. There's way it can.
Fair enough. Who are some of your favorite artists right now, and who are you putting time into listening to their music?
Ooh, my gosh, that changes daily. Who is in my playlist right now? I will say my all-time favorite artist is Paul Simon. I think you know that. And I grew up kind of listening to the like Jack Johnson, Dave Matthews scene, and that definitely influenced a lot of like my acoustic guitar playing and stylings, and gosh, it's such a huge array. I've even been loving like Billie Eilish right now. It's just any kind of vibe and any kind of anything that seems different these days. That was kind of what I'm drawn to most.
I feel similarly, man. I'm always looking for something different, something that moves the needle, something I haven't heard before. And man, is that rare.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I say Billie Eilish is one of the hugest artists out there, but
sure,
I think definitely in the kind of folk jam scene, an artist like that is like a rare thing to kind of mention. Mm-hmm. I was just listening to some new Trevor Hall. I always love Trevor. And let's pick a local artist. I don't know. Let's stick with that for now.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate your time today, bud. Thank you for having this conversation with me. And where can people find out about what you're doing and what you have coming out?
The name is Rob Drabkin, and that is my artist name also. But it's
it's your stage and real name.
Yeah, you just go to Google and type that in, and you'll find all the websites, the Instagrams, the Twitters, the Facebooks, the Spotify, the Apple Music. Spotify's been the most helpful. I love sending people there.
Which is weird because a lot of artists take an opposite stance on that subject.
Yeah. We can chat about that if you want.
I'm leaving the door open to that conversation because I'm curious as to your thoughts on it.
Yes. Spotify kind of it can be your best friend, it can be your worst enemy. I think that's kind of the way to look at it. Or it can certainly be in the in-between spot too. But I had a song called Someday that came out in 2017. And the song was a little bit different. It was a little bit more of a really like just simple folk song. It wasn't anything musically too complex compared to other stuff I had released. And I was just really proud of the song. And I put it out there, and I, kind of recognized how important streaming is in the music industry. And I just got all my fans to go to Spotify and stream the song. And like after a month, it got to about 5,000 plays, So here's the good news and the bad news about it. So 5,000 plays is going to be about $20, which is as shitty as can be. Like that's the amount of work it took to get 5,000 people to play your song. And that's a lot of people. 5,000 people listening to your song is like, you know what? That's a lot. That deserves some recognition. And I think it deserves more than $20 of support. That's for sure. And then Spotify ended up picking up the song and adding it to like 3 or 4 of its official playlists. So it got on, the Coffee House playlist, and it got on a few different European playlists, and it just hit 5 million. That's the short story of it. Just once it picked up on the algorithms, it was insane. And 5 million plays is real money. That's, not insane amounts of money, but it's like, that's livable,
Really? This is like a very rare success story that I've heard with Spotify. So no wonder you feel differently about it. And those kind of streams, that moves the needle, man. That's where people start checking out your other music, your website, your web traffic goes up, your social media numbers start going up. That's measurable.
Yeah, total. I'm still blown away. But it's crazy how that like algorithm game kicks in. There's another artist, great local artist. I'll give him some props for this marketing and his music too. But this guy is Zach Eckendorf. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's I think he just moved back to Denver. But he almost started to just expose this. I guess you could call it a flaw. I don't know if it's a flaw, but it just exposed the like algorithmic side of Spotify. I was like, guys, this is how Spotify works, and like they will reward you by like early streams early on, saving it, adding it to playlists. And he just recruited like, a few hundred fans and ask them, like personally ask them, like when the song comes out, to boom, save it to your phone, stream it 10 times a day, add it to your playlist, and like he just watched the like algorithm like click in. So, but it's an adventure. It's something I love and something I hate. I've had songs do miserably on Spotify that I've been proud of, and songs that have just gone on to do bigger things. Interesting.
Is it good for the industry or the individual artist to output their product through an algorithm? I mean, in your situation, it was productive and it worked, but is it good that most of the content that artists are outputting is being run through an algorithm?
I think it sure takes out the art of it.
Becomes more formulaic than it is just art coming from your heart. You're probably going to be making a product that is going to hit the algorithm better. Maybe if I make my song shorter, or maybe, and then if you have to recruit a small army to make 20, 40, 100, 200, 500,000 bucks.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, I still think I think a good song will carry more weight than trying to cater something to an algorithm. You can't just force people to listen to your song and expect them to keep coming back. That's not the way to do that. That's a whole other discussion. There was that, was it Wolfpack that did the like silent, that was definitely a stunt. But if you're making good music, if you're writing good songs, that's going to have more value than anything else.
Sure, there's going to be more longevity.
Till I'm long gone past this earth.
Very fair. Well, I appreciate all your positivity, and I appreciate your perspective. Man, every time I talk to you, I feel like you're bigger and bigger, and moving further up that ladder that may not even exist anymore. But from an outside perspective, the product looks great, man, and the music sounds great, and it's much needed right now. So thank you.
Thank you. Also, a reminder, vote, everyone, November 3rd. Have a plan, have a huge plan, and do outreach to non-voters and to people in swing states, and just do everything that you can.
Thank you for listening to Galaxy Tenants. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. For early access to episodes and exclusive content, check us out on Patreon. Also, if you'd like to communicate with us, send an email to galaxytenants@gmail.com or leave a voicemail on the Galaxy Tenants hotline at 303-550-2065.
You've reached the Galaxy Tenants hotline. Please leave a message.